So welcome everybody. I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium and a Taino Arawak, and I own the Ivy League Psychic Academy, where I train people internationally in psychic mediumship, tarot, Reiki, everything in between. And the classes that I've been doing here on YouTube are free mini classes as part of the quarantine series. Once the pandemic hit, this was one of the ways I felt I could contribute to everyone being locked in and everyone having an opportunity to do some serious self-development, self-examination, and spiritual growth. So these are my contribution, and they are based on the things that we talk about at the Psychic Mediumship Development course that I offer at the Academy. If you're interested in the Psychic Mediumship course, you can take the video downloads that are already available, or you can join us starting October 7th. For the fall semester. You can register at ivyrivera.psychicmedium.com to book a reading or a party with me, or for a full list of classes, ivyrivera.psychicmedium.com. Paul, my lovely assistant, aka producer, is going to be taking your comments and questions. How are you, Paul?
I'm very lovely, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So I do want to encourage with this particular mini class that you guys start contributing in the dialogue now. You can let Paul know whatever situations you're having in your life with someone where you would like an answer as to what it is that they're hiding, and help you figure out as part of the curriculum. We may be able to incorporate it. So he might be able to take your questions early, and for the rest of you, we will be taking the questions at the end. I would also like for Paul to take, I don't know, we'll see, but maybe 3 examples would be great of situations that you have had going on or have going on currently that have been ongoing that you need an answer to. And we will use these as an example so that we can all learn off of each other. Okay, so the way that we do things here at the Academy is we learn in community. You cannot learn a lot of these things in a vacuum. So that's really important that we all share openly. No judgment here. All right, so this is what are they hiding? How your physical cues reveal what's going on under their mask. All right, so to start, I'm going to break down a few key things that go on when you're interacting with people that may really become confusing or could make you feel as though you're losing a sense of your own self, or like you're losing your own mind, or you're not as grounded as you were before you started interacting with them. So let's look at why these things can happen, okay? First of all, I want to say that the most important thing to remember is that we are all intuitive, but to different degrees. And when you're around someone who is suffering mentally or emotionally, you may be picking up on that and becoming distressed because you are either an empath. We have empathic awareness training up on the website that can help you. It can also be happening because you have a lot of clair empathy. When we talk about the clairs, we talk about this sixth sense, knowing things that you have no business knowing. Well, clair empathy picks up on other people's mental and emotional states. So if someone is reeling over something in their head, if you have a coworker who is going through a divorce and they are obsessively thinking about this, or they are feeling very emotionally drained or anxious, for example, you're going to pick up on that. And the minute you get near them, sometimes even before you enter the room and you're next to them, you're going to be feeling that, okay? If you are thinking about them and feeling these things, they keep popping into your head, it is also possible that you're the one who's meant to offer them some support or healing. So keep that in mind. Now, so that's called clair empathy. This happens for other people in a little bit of a different way. This is called clairsentience. Clairsentience is going to be your ability to feel with physical impressions in your body what someone else is experiencing. So if you are sitting next to someone who has the flu, you may feel sick to your stomach. If you're near someone who needs a hip replacement, your back and your hip may actually start to ache. If someone around you has a horrible migraine, you may be picking up on that actually from a pretty good distance away. So what does this mean? Well, this means that you have clairsentient ability and you are picking up physically in your own body what does not belong to you. It can also happen with animals, so be mindful. I want to talk about cheaters. How do you know if someone's wearing a mask and they're lying to you? They're cheating behind your back. Obviously, a cheater would have to be. Maybe they're vying for your job. Maybe they are talking trash and trying to make you look bad, creating gossip, stirring the pot. Anyone who intends you real harm or is taking advantage of you in such a way that it would take a toll on your emotional and mental and possibly even physical well-being, that is going to cause for you to have a burning at the back of your neck, your upper shoulder area, and often up into your head, like an odd radiating, tingling, or burning sensation. This will nag and it will get louder as this person approaches you. Now, I'm not talking about physically approaching you. They could just call on the phone. You could hear from, let's say this is this is your husband and he's cheating on you. You may get a text from him, or you might come across something of his paperwork or something. And as you enter into this person's energy or the topic of them comes up, you would start to have that burning and that level of discomfort. You may also get a sharp stabbing pain directly in the center of your chest. Not uncommon from what happens with paranormal activity. You could also get a stabbing pain in your temple. Some people feel like a band of pressure right around the eyes. A lot of people automatically get nervous, or you may feel like you're having an anxiety attack, or you may actually shake and feel like you're having muscle spasms or like your body is out of control in some way. You may also have a sinking feeling and a lot of trouble concentrating, and you won't know what just came over you. You're having a conversation with somebody, everything's normal, you're sitting at the restaurant, all of a sudden you can't eat, you can't think, you can't listen to what the other person is saying. That is a sign that whoever is doing you dirty, cheating, lying behind your back, whatever's going on, they are about to contact you, or they are up to something at that moment. Paul, you just let me know if we have feedback or if we have people asking questions along the way, because it may fit in nicely with this curriculum. Okay. One of the other things that can happen, and the most common thing that we see with everyone intuitively, spanning every human being, nobody escapes this, is the ear ringing. And the ear ringing can be closely connected to someone intending you harm in some way. Now, the grandmothers used to say, if the left ear was ringing, that was love, and if the right ear was ringing, that was spite. That's fairly accurate. Now, when the left ear is ringing, it is actually spirit communication. It is a spirit trying to come in and deliver a message to you, probably a grandparent or your protector guide. Okay, trying to come in and tell you something. But when your right ear is ringing, meaning like tinnitus or a feeling of pressure in your ears, when your right ear rings, it is your higher mind, your psychic ability, your gut instinct kicking in. It is you calling your own self to pay attention, to wisen up to whatever is going on around you. So the grandmother said it was spite. It can sometimes be because someone around you who intends you harm would automatically trigger this response in you, which is meant to get your attention so that you can collect information. And that's what you want to do with someone who intends you harm. You want to stop when the ear rings, and you want to pay attention to the thoughts that are in your head at that time. You want to pay attention to anyone who is messaging you. You want to pay attention to what's going on in your environment. Typically, that information that is there at that exact moment is something that you can cultivate and utilize later on to get yourself out of this situation or to bust this person. Pretty interesting, huh? What if you are seeing someone in a dream? So when you dream about somebody and you know who they are in the dream, you're interacting with them, but they don't look the same as they do right now in this life. That can mean that you guys have past life history together. And while that can be an amazing thing, this can also be suspicious. I would watch the people who show up in your dreams, because typically your guides, your protector guide in particular, is helping you through your dreams to figure out who is in your life right now and who they were in your life in the past. So your dreams are, in a way, a vision, a replay, a flashback of who you were and what you did together. And if you want to know what the people in your life right now are up to, pay attention to those dreams, because who they were is who they still are. That's not done, or else you wouldn't be reliving an experience with them. There could be unfinished business, unfinished karma, karmic debt. There's something going on. Now, if it's a good experience, that means that you guys are working together on something, and that's a completely different ballgame. So what we want to ask in our dreams when we see people is, what does their energy tell you? And you want to make sure that you're asking who they are, because once you wake up, you could get confused. You could say, well, they didn't look the same, so it seemed like it was Nancy from work, but it couldn't have been Nancy from work. Yeah, it was Nancy from work. You're just seeing her as a man from your previous life. Okay? Ask the questions. Keep a dream journal. What happens when someone continuously pops into your head? Why would that be? What is going on with them if they keep popping up and you're not talking to them? You don't even necessarily know them very well. There's no reason for it to be happening that you can figure out. It could be that they have a mask on and they do actually have ill will against you, or they want what you have. People who want what you have, or they are needy for your energy, they are almost creepily stalking you energetically, will pop up in your head repeatedly. You may notice that along with the ear ringing. That is not good. That's someone you want to keep your eye on. One of the tools that I use to know what someone's intentions are with me is a little evaluation upon meeting them. So when someone new comes in, I will actually take a moment to pull back and let them talk to me, and I stare at them, and I ride off their voice vibration, and I ask, who was this person in the past? What did our relationship look like? Why are they here? And how is this relationship going to play out? I will know an automatic, this is not good. or I will know it's okay, you're here to work together. Sometimes I'll see it not end well, but it's still supposed to be an encounter that I participate in. Maybe I see them lasting 6 months or a year, or they'll be around a little while, but not forever. Some people you see forever and it's positive. Others, you can figure out the second they are in front of you, why they are there, and how this is going to play out. And you better not ever turn your back on that gut instinct, because people will always, in the end, I don't care if it takes 20 years, it will always end up playing out exactly the way you saw it in that moment.
Getting some good traction on the ear ringing.
Yes.
Caitlin has been watching her husband. She's suspicious, and when he's around, she says she can feel her ears ringing like crazy, and she can't remember which one, but so that's the sign there. And Jill, she's got a lot happening here. With she's ending a 20-year relationship and keeps getting the feeling that her husband or partner wants to continue to support him financially. And when she's around him, she gets angry and edgy and gets migraines. And
I haven't even gotten to that one yet.
and her ears start ringing. Her left ear rings often moments before he comes into her space.
Woo-wee.
And when he leaves, she goes back to calm.
Not to confuse things or get anybody off the hook, but there is one more reason the ears can ring. When someone has a lot of empathic ability and another person has a lot of empathic ability, and we put them close together, your ears could also ring then. But typically you notice other things with that. Like you're both very intuitive, you play off of each other's energy, it's a positive encounter, you may notice a numbness in the face of the mouth. There could be a more pleasant experiences aside from that. So I'm not saying that you're not accurate. It could be this other thing. We want to take everything into consideration. But yes, I would watch your back, especially that left ear ringing, because you've got ancestors and guides coming in and talking to you, and that never happens for no reason, okay? All right. So we talked about when someone keeps popping in your head repeatedly and you really don't know why. On a more positive note, this can also mean that you have some kind of work to do with this person. So we don't want to automatically assume they're toxic or mean you harm. It is possible that as you go forward in this relationship, again, even if you don't know them really well, that you'll be crossing paths repeatedly and supporting each other, or you may be there to support them in some way. Okay, so again, we don't ever want to overreact. We want to consider all things possible, but your gut never lies. All right, let's talk about, because it just came up, I wanted to talk about the anger, okay? I was working my way up to that, but we'll get to that one now. All right, so what happens if you are feeling angry? If you are feeling like you want to punch somebody in the throat and they didn't even do anything wrong yet, you don't know why, you are irritated, you cannot stand looking at them or talking to them. You could know them well and feel that. You could also not really know them at all and not understand why you're feeling that. There is a resistance there. There could even be feelings of hatred toward this person. I'm talking about feelings. A lot of people don't like that word. I'm talking about the way you feel. That is a real thing. Hatred happens. It's natural. And it's keeping you safe. So don't ignore it. You could also feel disgusted. And when they speak, it could be like nails down a chalkboard. Why is that happening? Okay, why is that happening? Well, it can mean that this other person owes you in karmic debt. It can mean that in a previous life they stole something from you, they enslaved or entrapped you, they sold you out in some way. There is something historical if it's hysterical like that. It is also possible they're lying right to your face. They are two-faced. They are giving you lip service. I would be very careful, because when that activates and you feel that level of disgust, whatever they just said to you or are about to say to you is false. You need to dig deeper. Along with this may come the number 7, following you a lot on the clock, in license plate numbers, whatever. The number 7 is calling you. to dig deeper for the real truth in some type of a circumstance in your life. This could also mean that this person is trying to gain your trust. This person is trying to get you to be their friend. This person is trying to get you to rely on them and want them. And then they intend to abandon you, dump you, and kick you when you're down. So whether they're going to do that in this life and or they did it in previous lives, that's how your body is naturally going to react to them. These people are also very commonly going to use narcissistic techniques with you. Empaths especially, watch out for this. They tend to start by trying to engage you in conversation a lot. And they use things like humor and charm to try to win you over. And when they can't, or it isn't working, they will start buying you gifts. They usually start by gifting you a piece of jewelry or plants or flowers or some kind of object that they think you would like. And they may talk about how this reminds them of you, or it just called to them. They just had to give it to you. If that's not working, they'll move up to food or beverages. Don't eat it, don't drink it, don't take it, don't touch it. It's ridiculous, okay? Trust your gut. Okay, so what happens when you are dealing with, I want to go back to where I was. All right. What happens when you're around someone and you have a terrible fogginess in your mind? You cannot finish what you were just saying. You can't hear other people talking to you and process. Comprehension has gone out the window. This may come along with a horrible headache or a feeling of dehydration. For anyone who's ever gone out and had a real good time, remember the worst hangover you've ever had and how you can't seem to shake it and you regret what you did. It's kind of like that. You wonder what the heck you did to cause this much damage to yourself. It's a major wake-up call. That feeling is coming from the other person masking and hiding severe mental illness, depression, or drug and alcohol abuse issues. You have one? Sure.
Yeah. Tessa, with this fogginess, she said, she's asking if JC secretly hates her and, wondering his true intentions on what he wants because for some odd reason, he switches moods like crazy and then she gets all foggy, like a complete fog, and then they start fighting.
Yeah. You may have someone who has a narcissistic or sociopathic personality and they're hiding that from you. I was going to get onto this one a little bit later, but I'll do it now. You may have someone who has paranormal attachment or is actually possessed. That leads to a lot of fighting and confrontation. So the person loses control of their energy. This would read the same as someone with severe mental illness. So you are going to have the same physical reactions because essentially they're carrying the same energy as that. Now, that does not mean, and I'm not saying that people who are suffering from genuine mental illness are toxic like a paranormal attachment. What I'm saying is it triggers the same physical reactions. We have categories here, so you're going to have to break it down and see exactly what is going on. It is possible that if it's not hidden drug and alcohol abuse and it's not some kind of mental illness, it is possible that it is this paranormal activity, which means that this individual who is causing you to have all these physical reactions and then picks a fight is actually dealing with a possession, and possessions come up to the surface to take control of the person, and then they lay back for a while, and then they come back up. And when this is happening, one of the ways you could tell whether it's that or something else is because typically the possession will come up to the surface when this individual has an opportunity to level up in their life, to do something good, to straighten out situations and predicaments. to improve. It may also come up to the surface if you need that person's support. And it would be so deteriorating to the relationship, because every time something important is happening, this person destroys and tears down everything that you've built by creating this conflict. It is not unlike narcissistic and sociopathic behaviors. Okay? So we have to figure out which is which. Is that helpful at all?
Yeah, she said that she experiences all of that with him. Nail on the head.
Right. So, what are we really talking about here? We're talking about you needing to protect yourself. And as much as we may love someone, until they can clean up their own energy, because that is not something you can do for them, you need to not have them causing danger to your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual well-being, to your finances. And if you have someone like this in your home, you can't cleanse that house. We did a free mini class on cleansing, and we have another class up on the website, a full training called Hauntings, Clearings, and Detachments. And I talk about this in both of those. If someone in your house is causing the problem, it is not something you can clear, even if you were to try to cleanse daily. Okay? So be mindful about creating space and boundaries. Okay? All right, another one I want to talk about here is the closed throat chakra. So sometimes you're around people and you're like, I can't breathe. I don't know what came over me. You're choking on your own saliva. Or you feel like there's almost like a scarf, a tightness, okay, like a noose around your neck. You can't figure out what the heck is going on. That means that the other person is hiding probably a ton of communication, not necessarily just from you. It's usually a really bad habit that they picked up over the course of life. You will see this a lot with females who have been trained by society to be small. They actually talk in a different tone. It's not even their real voice, or they have a really high-pitched sound. People who have decided that they're not going to speak their truth for one reason or another develop a closed throat chakra. And the worse it gets, the closer it gets to becoming an actual physical problem like throat cancer, thyroid issues, chronic allergies, esophageal problems. The closer they get to that, the more you are going to pick up on it when you get near them. That can also come along with a headache, depending on how bad it is. There's a second reason somebody could have a closed throat chakra. And that is that they did speak and communicate their truth, but they were disrespected. They were not heard. They did not get what the changes that they were deserving of getting. And they haven't really figured out a way to navigate that yet. Okay, so you may want to help them with that.
Tessa said, thank you. You answered all my questions.
Good. And let me just also say this. Drinking and drug activity are the number one gateway to paranormal attachment and possession. And the number one sign that you have some type of paranormal activity going on is through fighting. So, you're welcome. All right, let's talk about the left side and the right side of your body. If you are feeling a lot of random pains, pinches, tingling, squeezing sensations, you are talking to someone who is hiding or has not fully understood the extent of the condition of their life at that time. And that is that they have circumstances holding them back in a major way. So if you're feeling physical pain down the left side in any way, it is because this person is suffering. Possibly with a financial difficulty, like job loss. There's a major threat to their mortgage, their stability. It's possible that they have a health condition and they haven't been able to see a doctor that can actually give them answers. It's possible that they are waiting, like pieces of a puzzle, on some type of solution to come forward in their life. And so you are going to pick up on that from them. If you're near someone and you're getting a lot of pain or the same weird tinglings and pinching and things like this, squeezing on the right side of your body, you are dealing with someone who is stagnant. You are possibly going to feel irritated with them also. So for my movers and shakers that are watching right now, we may have a low tolerance for these people. These are the people that have to have all their ducks in a row. They can never just boldly make a move in blind faith. And they're holding themselves back. You may hear things from them. Martyrdom mentality, victimhood mentality. That causes pain in the right side of your body, being near them. What if your in-laws are talking trash, stirring the pot? What if you have triangulation in your family or your spouse is up to no good? Are you married to someone who runs off to mom and tells her all of your personal business in your marriage, your relationship? Are you with someone, are you with a girl who goes off and talks to her, her friends or her family about you bad, but then comes back and acts like everything is okay? You are going to have back issues if this is going on, even if you've never had them before. Now, it can go all the way from the top to the bottom, almost ranging from feelings of like slip discs or just neck pain. But when it gets down into the lower back, it is really coming to the surface at that time, and that is something that you need to deal with. So it'll feel, it could almost be anything from like sciatica to just a lot of pressure and general pains in your lower back. Now, if you are in a situation like this for a long period of time, you could actually start suffering from back injury or significant problems there.
Jill said, whoa, I think it just helped me figure out the tingling in my left hand and arm pain and tightness. Been trying to figure it out for 5 months.
Probably someone around you who's pretty close. And I want to explain this again. Jill says she's getting this and she finally figured out where it's coming from. But the thing is, you don't have to be around that person all the time. You don't have to be around any of these people all the time. This is something that lingers. Once you're introduced to their energy is sticky. It's like gum. You have to maintain it at all times. And so once you meet someone, it's like gum on the bottom of your shoe. That shoe isn't going to be normal ever again. And you will pick up on this through thoughts, visions, dreams, before you interact with them, long after you interact with them. Okay. Anything else coming from there before I move on to these?
No, we do have a lot of empaths in here, though, tonight.
This is the one for empaths.
Yeah, Juanita says, she thinks in her mind a word will pop in sometimes before the person says it, and she can kind of tell if something's not right. She just feels it off of them that way. So she's definitely picking up on the telepathy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, so here's another one, sort of on that note. If someone is not in ownership of their energy, they're not mindful, they just spew information out, they have no audience awareness, or they are deliberately being manipulative, you will literally feel that when you're around them, you can't hear what they say. You may be able to hear everybody else, but when they talk, it's like wah, 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 wah. I think of Peanuts when the teacher's talking, wah, 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 wah. And you'll be like, what? You cannot allow for that energy in, and your body is naturally expelling it. You may also notice that you're grinding your teeth or you're showing tension in your muscles when someone is doing that, even if they deliver it very sweetly and everyone else seems to just adore them. Okay, remember, a lot of people train in this for many years to be good at it. And they typically work the angle of charm and intimate dialogue in some way. You may also feel exhausted. Okay. So the number one most common thing to witness when you are, everybody notices this, when you are around certain people, oh my God, why am I so tired? I just got here. It doesn't make any sense. I slept well last night. You can literally feel like you want to lay down on the floor and take a nap. That is a sign that you are around someone who's wearing a mask and they're actually an emotional vampire. They are draining your energy. They are needing something from you. They are out of control, and they have a complete lack of mindfulness. Here's what I'm going to suggest. Find out when this happens to you who it is in the circle, and make sure that if you have to interact with them on a regular basis, you do it through technology. But I'm going to warn you that even if you can limit it to that, you will get drained right before they send you that email. You will get drained as soon as it dings. It is incredibly difficult to maintain the boundaries that are needed when we are constantly being exposed to people like this. And that one is really dangerous because it takes a lot to replenish your energy. And it takes a lot to cleanse out their toxicity. So we talk a lot on here about putting Epsom salt in the bottom of your shower, a nice hot shower at night to cleanse out. And you want to limit your interactions with them. And I would highly recommend for everybody, whether you think you're very empathic or not, everybody's empathic to some degree. There are 4 different levels. Use the tools from the empathic awareness training. You can go onto the normal website, or you can go onto IvyRiveraEmpathicEducator.com. These tools will help you now that you have the information and you can decipher where and who it's coming from and what it is. You can use those tools to block it and to release it. Okay? You have to understand what is mine and what is others. And when dealing with others, you have to understand who they really are and what they're really putting out. All of it is affecting you all the time. I could get into this a ton more. We talk about this a lot. Okay, if this interests you, psychic mediumship training is going to be great for you. But I'm going to leave it at that for today, and we are going to get into questions or comments now. Is there anything you guys need help with on this note?
Bernadette has a question.
Okay.
She says, when you can see someone's true nature, how do I convey that to other coworkers without them thinking I am exaggerating?
Often you don't. I think that it's best in life, typically in social situations, because you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. And often bringing these things up can make it worse, because when you're dealing with someone who's deliberately being deceptive, they've trained in that. They've learned how to do that. So it could end up making it worse. But what I think works the most is to live by example. So that if somebody were to say, oh, well, let's go have lunch, or so-and-so said this, you just say, yeah, not me so much, I really don't go there. I really don't associate with that person, or I would really rather not, find some way to live by example and trust that if that person is open to receiving and you are the one who's supposed to heal them with that knowledge, the universe will set up an opportunity for you to live by example in front of them, which will keep them watching that other person and to stay safe.
Bernadette said that you are a psychologist.
I was at one time going to go for psychology. That's funny.
Caitlin, is asking about is rising blood pressure.
Oh. Yeah. Rising blood pressure, yes. So nosebleeds, a rise in blood pressure, heart palpitations, a feeling like your heart is, going to explode, but this isn't going to happen. Any of that is a sign of abuse. That's a sign that someone around you is either directly attacking you and or directly attacking those around you. So those around you could be anyone from like your children or even your finances. They are trying to do some kind of significant harm. And with people like that, you can't really boundary set. You have to sometimes know when to say, that's it. I've had enough. I'm cutting you off. You're not allowed in my space. Not at all. And, I would say no contact a lawyer, only the lawyer deals with them, whatever. There is a time to work with this energy and protect yourself. There's a time to know when you can go back in protected and manipulate that person. And And there's a time to know when a boundary needs to be set and this is done. This is too much. Because they are like long gone, and anything that they can do to take advantage of you or your resources or those around you, they're not going to stop. They have no intention of stopping.
Karen says that she feels drained when she's around a certain person. But Tessa asks about the ringing in the ears. Would that work too if it's more of a wada or a white noise sound?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that. Yes, it could also be, okay, so it's like ringing like a tinnitus. It can be like a feeling of pressure, like when an airplane goes up or comes down. Or, and I didn't say it today, but you're absolutely right, like when a seashell is up to your ear. For sure. Yep. And did you say that someone just said they know someone who triggers in...
Yeah.
What did she say?
Karen says she feels drained when I'm around a certain person.
So I want to say this. When we get around somebody, even if it's family, you know, it's someone that we think we're supposed to be dealing with, it's important for you to understand that instead of getting sucked into it, you may be there to lead by example. Protecting yourself, staying optimistic, not allowing it to take you down. You know, that can get exhausting and old real quick. But to what extent, you do need to ask, to what extent was I deliberately put on this person's path to do this? You may also want to ask, what is the lesson here? What am I learning? What am I supposed to take from this? Are you supposed to learn from that person how not to live? Are you supposed to learn that you need to be more honest about these relationships and how you need to set better boundaries? Are you supposed to be learning that you are an empath or you are very intuitive and it's time for you to use these abilities and protect yourself better? What's the point? What's the point of all of this happening? Okay, so let's ask those real questions. Yeah.
Well, I think there you just answered Bernadette's question of how do you honor who you are as an empath and still maintain your equilibrium in the relationship?
In a relationship? It depends on what kind of a relationship. How do you honor yourself? You always have to honor yourself, but we also have to understand the difference between being of service to others and doing what we're called to do. So, I deal with people all the time that I don't want to deal with. They're disrespectful. They're acting like monsters, and I would love to cut them off. However, Spirit has put me in a position right now where I'm to show certain people under certain circumstances unconditional love. But I know the difference between being called to show someone unconditional love and channel that healing directly from Spirit and enabling somebody or dealing with someone toxic where I should have shut that door. So I would say pray on it. I would say that you need to talk to your protector guide, and you need to talk to your joy guide, who's also your spiritual development guide, and ask where the boundaries are. So this is not unlike what I was talking about earlier, where we were talking about introduction. When someone new comes in, it is wise to pull back and to say, what is the nature of this relationship? What has it been? Where is it going? And what's my role in it? Okay. Or what timelines are here? And if you are dealing with someone and it's not going well, that is by all means a time to pull back and ask. You can even go inward and do a simple meditation where you say, my higher mind wants to talk to your higher mind. And as you're talking to this person's true self, you can ask questions like, what is the nature of this relationship? What are your real intentions? And where is this going? And you can judge where it is that you should continue to give and where you may need to pull back or end it.
Jill is pretty mind blown by what is mine, what is others. She says she's downloading Empathic Awareness tomorrow morning.
I just want to say this too. So Jill, I'm so glad to hear that. Looking forward to feedback from you on that later. With the Empathic Awareness training, if you go onto the Ivy Rivera Empathic Educator website, we have trainings for parents and kids. We have trainings coming up for activists and protesters. We have trainings for anti-burnout for those of you that work in difficult office environments, or you're in the medical field, or right now you're an essential worker. We have all different kinds of trainings on top of the basic. Yeah, we have them for teachers, for the classroom. Yeah.
And Caitlin says, you are simply amazing. Everything from the last few times you've answered my questions and have not been wrong. Thank you. And then 3 of these.
Awesome.
And good things.
Thank you. I'm glad you guys are enjoying these. I'm glad they're helpful. Okay, awesome. Well, we do have another free mini class coming up on the 30th. Is that accurate? And that's called Why Mediumship. This is about my life's work for the last 9 years, where I have been teaching this lost language through something called the PSC method, the Psychology of Spirit Communication method, to people, anyone, all walks, come in, believing, not believing, and are able to do this because this is innate. So Why Mediumship is going to be on the 30th at 9 p.m., and I'm going to break down the hidden language and how it heals your entire life and allows you to heal the world around you. So I hope to see you guys for that. Don't forget to get your walk-in night tickets. $15 gets you 2 readings, 2 healings, a reading and a healing, and that is Saturday starting at 8 p.m. Ivy Rivera, PsychicMedium.com, showcasing students and graduates of the Ivy League Psychic Academy. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks, Paul.
You're very welcome.